What is up, ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks fans of all ages? DK voiceover here, and welcome to my latest video. I apologize for the lack of content and updates over the past week and a half. I've actually been out of town on a much-needed vacation, and then came back and proceeded to get a little bit sick, but still feeling a little under the weather, but feeling okay enough to make a update video or a news video. Because there's lots to report on. Training camp started a couple of days ago. They've had 2 practices so far, and they have a day off today. So, good time to sort of catch up and see like where this squad is. There's been a lot of news. So yeah, we're gonna be going over that today. But before we get started, again, appreciate you guys watching the video. Be sure to drop a like down below if you like the video. Of course, if you want to see more Seahawks content during the off season, regular season, and of course, hopefully the playoffs, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon in order to be notified whenever I post. So yeah, appreciate it, guys. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We have several big news items, the most obvious of which I have up right now. Number 1 on the list. We'll start out with some good news because unfortunately the news ain't all good. But DK Metcalf, star wide receiver for your Seattle Seahawks, has finally agreed to an extension. 3 years, $72 million, comes out to about $24 million average annual value per year. So my initial reaction to this is, wow, the average per year was definitely lower than I was expecting. 72 million, so that comes out to about 24 million per year. I was expecting to get somewhere in the range of like 26, 27. But yeah, I was really happy to see that it came in a little bit lower than I was expecting. So the full details of the contract itself, we take a look at average annual value. 24 million puts him right up there with Stephon Diggs. For the Buffalo Bills, he's making about $1 million less than A.J. Brown is, who, of course, he went to college with. Played for the Tennessee Titans, now plays for the Eagles after getting traded during the draft. And about $1.2 million more than his other draft mate in Terry McLaurin. Of course, Deebo Samuel still has yet to get his extension, but sounds like that will be happening here relatively soon. So if you take a look over here from Spotrac, the full details of the Metcalf contract, it is 4 years, $76.2 million in total value. The $72 million is the base price, the $72.6.2 is also factoring in what he is set to make what he was set to make this season on the last year of his rookie deal. So when you factor that in, it's really a 4-year $76.2 million contract. But if you factor in just the New Year's, it's 3 years, $72 million. So yeah, it comes with a $30 million signing bonus. That is the most of any wide receiver in NFL history. $31 million guaranteed at signing. $58.2 million of that is fully guaranteed. So yeah, when you factor it in like Spotrac has done here, there's no guaranteed money in the 3rd year of the extension. So in reality, it comes out in reality a 2-year, $58.2 million deal, which again still very practical. Lovely enough, they went and updated the cap hits here. Smart on them to dump a little bit of that into 2022. So I think originally he was set to make $4.2 million, around $4.2 million on 2022. So they're stuffing a bit more money under his 2022 cap hit in order to sort of lessen that hit late in the later years. But again, $8.8 million in 2022, $13.7 in 23, 24, and then 24.5 in 24, and then $29.5 million here and 25. But by the time we get to 2025, there's going to be almost no guaranteed money left on that deal. And if he's not living up to his full ability, or there's other stuff that's going on, it's very easy to trade him and get out from under that contract. But again, I don't see that happening at this point. So yeah, all in all, it's a fantastic contract. My only nitpick I have to say is I wish they would have got him for 4 more years. But I can understand if DK wanted to with all the different media deals that are going to be coming up in the next few years. That for a fact that cap space is going to skyrocket. So he wants to get it back onto the free agency market and get his another deal as soon as reasonably possible, while getting some of that good injury protection. So yeah, DK under contract until the 2025-2026 season. So by the time we get our QB of the future, hopefully in the next draft, we'll have 3 seasons, or at least 2 seasons with him and Metcalf to see if they gel really well, to see if he's a difference maker with a new QB. And yeah, lots to look out for. Excuse me. So yeah, anyways, in short, definitely a fan of the deal. I just think that if it could have been a little bit longer, I think that would have been even better. All right, so moving on from good news to some slightly bittersweet news. Long-time beloved Seahawk, KJ Wright, spent 10 years with the Seattle Seahawks and then 1 season with the Raiders. He announced that he will be signing he signed a one-day contract with the Seattle Seahawks so that he can retire as a member of the organization. Anybody who was around during the start of this Legion of Boom defense, just this amazing defense in the early 2012s or in the early 2010s, KJ Wright was definitely a massive unsung hero of that defense. Everybody knows Bobby. Everybody knows Cam Chancellor. Everybody knows Sherman. Everybody knew Earl Thomas. But KJ Wright, I feel, did not get the necessary love that he deserved from the national media, but that's okay because we absolutely loved him, and he was amazing. 10 years with the organization. In that time with the organization, he had a massively great career. He was a 4th-round pick in the 2011 draft. Final year, he comes out 144 games, 941 tackles. These are all stats with the Seahawks, not necessarily with the Raiders. 66 tackles for loss, 27 QB hits, 13.5 sacks, 11 forced fumbles, 54 passes defense, and 6 interceptions, and made a Pro Bowl in 2016. He's not going to make the Hall of Fame, obviously, but he is in the Hall of Fame of our heart, and he absolutely should go in the Ring of Honor as soon as possible, because I don't think there are many other linebackers that are more deserving aside from Bobby Wagner, obviously. So obviously he said that he missed spending time with his family during the fall. Obviously his family still lives in the Seattle area, and he was down in and he was playing for the Raiders for that 1 season last year. So he'll be able to retire. He's made a ton of money. He's going to be able to retire very comfortably. And happy that he's going to be calling the Pacific Northwest his home for a very long time. So wishing you all the best, Wright. KJ, you were one of my favorite players to watch on that defense growing up, and you will be sorely missed. But I hope you have a great retirement and a great time with your family and friends, because you have earned it. All right, but moving on from the bittersweet to just the bitter. Unfortunately, we all kind of saw it coming, but Chris Carson retiring after 5 seasons in the NFL due to that neck injury. Poor guy could not catch a break, unfortunately. He was a mauler for 2 amazing seasons with Seattle. He had back-to-back seasons where he rushed for over 1,150 yards. The dude, in the words of Corvin Smith, he was a freight train strapped with dynamite. He was such a bruiser of a back. He was explosive. He was amazing for being a 7th-round pick at Oklahoma State. Unfortunately, with being that bruiser of a back, it can lead to a lot of injuries, and unfortunately it did. A lot of those could be dealt with, but unfortunately, one of those injuries that he suffered week 4 of last season against the 49ers, even though we did end up winning that game, it messed up his neck pretty bad. And I'm not going to show the pictures here because it's not for the faint of heart. But if you saw like the pictures of the hardware that's in his neck right now, you'd be like, yeah, this guy's never playing another snap in the NFL. And I'm like, unfortunately, that's how it ended up happening. He should be okay. It's just going into retirement, and he's going to get millions from the CBA for an injury protection. He was cut by the Seahawks due to a failed physical. Chris Carson did say that he's not officially retiring, just in case his neck magically gets better. But I think the best thing he can do right now is to just relax, recuperate, recover, and enjoy as much time as you can, because those neck injuries are nothing to snuff at. So, but the man for a 7th round pick has had a great career with Seattle. He made a decent amount of money, but again, I wish he could have gone out on a better note. It sounds like they kind of knew months ago, or like a month ago, that there's no way that this was going to work, and they were just trying to figure out the best way to handle it. And like I said, they just ended up going and making the cut, which bittersweet, but again, I think we all think it was the right move. It's not worth going back and getting paralyzed for the rest of your life. So, wishing him all the best. He was still one of my favorite Seattle running backs of all time. And I hope he is able to enjoy retirement. And if he's able to come back by some miracle, we'd love to see him again. So, wishing you all the best, Carson, in retirement. I wish it could have gone out on a better note. All right, so we've covered the DK Metcalf extension. We've covered KJ Wright, and now Chris Carson's retirement. So with that, let's go ahead and cover some of the other minor details that happened as part of this. So obviously, Chris Carson was cut with a failed physical designation, so we're going to take him off the roster. And then in addition, I don't have it on here, but another player that was cut/waived, inside linebacker Ben Burr-Kirven, if you remember, he suffered a pretty bad ACL tear during the preseason last year. He was waived with a failed physical designation. He did clear waivers, and he's back on IR with Seattle. He doesn't count against the 90-man roster. But yeah, as far as it's concerned, if he's on IR already, then he's done for the season. I think the way that the IR works is that if Seattle pays him out an injury settlement, then he's off the roster and he can go sign with another team. But yeah, so I think Ben Burr-Kirven's down here, so we're gonna go ahead and cut him out. So yeah, one less linebacker on your team, unfortunately, for going into the preseason. On top of that, a couple of other changes that were made. Again, this is the roster as of my 53-man roster video. Pierre-Olivier Lestage was also waived a while ago, so we'll take him off there. And then to replace these guys, Seattle signed 3 additional players, so there's still... after these 3, there's still one more open roster spot. So Seattle went out and signed tight end Jake Hausman from, I think he was on like the Giants practice squad for a little bit. I know he jumped around another team's practice squad, but hasn't really played in the NFL. He was recently played for Ohio State in college, didn't really do a whole lot, mainly a blocking tight end almost exclusively. But yeah, just adding to your tight end depth before there. And then after cutting Pierre-Olivier Lestage, Seattle also went out and signed 2 additional guards. So they signed Keenan Forbes out of Florida A&M, as well as signing Eric Wilson out of Penn State. Okay, so it's aside from the cuts and the waves and the signings, Seattle also sent 4 players to the PUP list. It's probably going to be 5 here soon. But they sent cornerback Trey Brown. Let's go. Where is it? Yeah, cornerback Trey Brown. Inside linebacker John Radigan. Outside linebacker Tyreek Smith. And offensive tackle Liam Ryan have gone over to the PUP list, or the physically unable to perform list. So basically what that means is they have like injuries to the point that they can't practice. They're unable to practice fully, but not so bad that they need to go on to IR. So the difference between like the PUP list and IR is that you can take players off from the PUP list whenever you want. There's no they don't have to spend a specific amount of time on there at all, so they're all good to go. But looking into Tyreek Smith and Trey Brown, it sounds like their injuries are a lot more mild. So I'm hearing Trey Brown and Tyreek Smith should be off the PUP list here in the next few days. On the other hand, John Radigan and Liam Ryan, apparently their injuries are going to take a bit more time. I think something's up with Ryan's foot, and then John Radigan's also recovering from a torn ACL that he suffered at the end of last season. So expect Tyreek Smith and Trey Brown to be ready for preseason, so that'll be good. And that covers all of the major roster updates. So let's kind of go over some of the storylines that I've been keeping up with so far in the first couple days of training camp. I'm still a little out of date. I just got back from vacation, so I'm still trying to do some catch up. But for the most part, some good things, some bad things. Sounds like Geno Smith obviously still has the edge over Drew Lock in practice. But hearing some of the other lovely discussions, it sounds like both Drew Lock and Geno Smith have not exactly been that impressive. Granted, their wide receivers have also kind of been not fantastic. Excuse me. Yeah, they were without DK Metcalf. Excuse me, man. All right. But no, so they've been without Metcalf, obviously, because he was holding out prior to this until he got his extension. But now that he's got his extension, apparently he passed his physical. He's all set to go from a practice standpoint. Aside from that, D. Eskridge also had a hamstring pull, pretty minor, so he should be back on the field here pretty quick. Nothing too insane, but yeah, it's been Lockett and then Swain, Melton, Derek, Goodwin, Thompson, Penny Hart, those guys. So yeah, they haven't had the best wide receiver room, but both Geno and Drew have not looked good. Geno had a bad interception the other day. Excuse me, my goodness. Sorry for all the coughing. But no, honestly, doing pretty poorly. Jay Curhan, surprisingly, I know before camp, during OTAs and during minicamp, Abraham Lucas had started taking basically all the starting right tackle snaps away from away from Curhan, but apparently Curhan is starting at right tackle for the time being. So that's definitely interesting, something to keep an eye on. But I'm still of the train of thought that that Abe Lucas is going to be your starting right tackle. So we'll take a look and see what happens there. Rashad Penny came back in at the same weight as he did at the end of last season. He looks very explosive. Apparently looks like he hasn't lost a step since the end of last season, so hopefully he'll be able to start off really strong. Haven't heard any updates about like Walker and how he's doing, but I'm hoping that him and Penny are going to be a pretty lethal 1-2 punch. So I guess with the QBs looking bad and wide receivers out, our starting quarterback's been looking pretty good. Sidney Jones had a great pick in practice on day 1. Artie Burns had a couple of good pass deflections. Kobe Bryant also pushing for that other starting cornerback role. At this point, I think Sidney Jones has one of those starting positions locked up, almost certainly. But yeah, so I'm really pulling for Kobe to make one of those starting spots. As far as our safety depth goes, Quandre coming off that gruesome leg injury in week 18 last season. He looked fantastic, apparently. It looks like he wasn't ever injured at all, which is fantastic. Really happy to hear that he was able to recover as quickly as he did from that. It was a bad injury. If you had the displeasure of seeing the moment where he went down, you do not want to see that. It was pretty bad. On the other side of things, Jamal Adams apparently broke one of his fingers on somebody's helmet on the first day of practice. So now he is going to get surgery on that finger. On the bright side, should be ready to go by the start of the season. But, yeah, not great. Not great to have your massively paid starting strong safety getting blasted on the first day of practice and breaking another finger. I don't think there's anything in his hand that he hasn't broken yet. So, yeah, not great. Jordan Brooks looks like he's impressing. Is impressing a lot. Looks like he's really taking up that, that role as the QB of the defense with Bobby gone. So really happy for him there. I'm not sure if he's going to be playing what inside linebacker spot he'll be playing. I know Kobe kind of impressed, or not Kobe, Cody Barton impressed with his last couple of starts of the season. Marquise Goodwin, looking like he's still a very explosive deep threat. He's making a good case for making the 53-man roster. I know I had him in my predictions, but he was always I had him on there, but he was always if it comes down to 5, or if somebody else impresses, I feel like he's the first one to go. But no, I think he has some upside for this season. And then yeah, those are the main storylines that I've been keeping up with today. So. Again, break today. I will be keeping you guys up to date on the next next weekend on any other updates that happen since then. I'm sure we'll get a much better idea of where the Seahawks depth chart and where the team is looking for their starting rotation and some initial 53-man roster locks for sure. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. This is a new segment portion that I'm looking to start doing a lot more consistently, at least once a week now going forward, since we're in the middle of training camp. So we're going to have a lot more news going forward. Also, I'm looking to start doing some game streams, so I won't have, obviously I can't have the game up, I can't have the game playing or anything, but would love to just have that going, have my reactions, have you guys stop by and we can chat Seahawks. That would be awesome. Unfortunately, I am going to be out of town for the first preseason game, which I think is against the Seahawks preseason schedule. Let's take a look. Against the Steelers. Okay, yeah. So I will be missing. So I won't be able to stream the Steelers game because I'm going to be out of town for something. But I should be able to stream both the Bears game and the Cowboys game. So that'll be awesome. But I'll also be giving my other news updates and running out some other content for you guys. So again, really appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out the video. If you like what you see, drop a like. Subscribe for more Seahawks news and analysis, and I will be sure to give you all what you crave the most. So again, Thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Hawks.